Hey gang, it's Dr. Steve. I hope you're having a beautiful and blessed Merry Christmas tide. I'm here in beautiful but cold, crisp Connecticut, just spending some time with my family. I'll be back in the studio on Monday, but I did want to talk about some of this heightened rhetoric that President Trump is engaging in when it comes to acquiring Greenland and taking back the Panama Canal. I don't know if you saw Eric Trump had a great tweet that he posted where I think they had Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal all in an Amazon shopping cart. So that'll give you a sense that the Trump family is certainly having a lot of fun with this. But at the same time, it does appear to be rather serious. There's been a number of reports on Trump very intent on getting Greenland and taking back the Panama Canal. We'll see about Canada at some point here. For Panama Canal, he's concerned about the fees that they're charging. Apparently, they're inordinately high. And he's also concerned that the port is going to fall into enemy hands. And that's not a so subtle swipe at China that's been pouring billions of dollars into the port building there, as well as bridge building, number of building projects there. And then in terms of Greenland appears to be a hedge against Russia's militarization of the Arctic. They already basically occupy half the Arctic just by virtue of their geographic proximity to it. But they have clearly militarized it and made it more or less part of Greater Russia. And so Trump seems to see Greenland as an important hedge against that Russian domination. And what's so fascinating to me was a comment that the New York Post made in their coverage of Trump and his sort of obsession of taking over Greenland and getting back the Panama Canal. Panama Canal used to, of course, be ours. We bought it, and then it's been in Panamanian hands since, December 31st, 1999, by virtue of an agreement that Carter signed back in, I think, 79. But what seemed to be at the heart of this inclination towards acquiring these two strategic points is a comment that Trump apparently made to one of his advisors, where he said that empires that are not growing end up dying. Empires that are not growing end up dying. Now that's fascinating. And what he's talking about there, I believe, is exactly what we talk often on this channel about the rise of civilization states. And the key to understanding a civilization state is it's not so interested in taking over the world, but it is interested in taking over a world, a very specific region on the global map. So we think of China and its sinosphere. I don't want to slip here. It's very icy. Think of China and it's taking over the sinospheres, or where Russia and the orthosphere, India and the Indus Valley, as it were.
Gang, obviously Americans are tired and frustrated by a stalling economy, inflation, endless wars, and the relentless assault on our values. But thankfully, there are companies like Patriot Mobile that still believe in America and our Constitution. I'm proud to partner with Patriot Mobile because they're on the front lines fighting for the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our military and first responder heroes. Take a stand for conservative causes and put America first by switching to Patriot Mobile today. You'll get the same nationwide coverage as the big providers because Patriot Mobile operates across all three major networks. Plus, they back their service with a coverage guarantee. Their 100% US-based customer service team will find the best plan for your needs. Keep your phone number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Go to patriotmobile.com/Turley Talks or call them at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Right now, get a free month, a whole free month when you use the offer code Turley Talks. Don't forget that. Use Turley Talks. You get a free month. Don't get fooled by other providers pretending to share your values or have the same coverage. They don't and they can't. Join me. Switch to America's only Christian conservative mobile provider, Patriot Mobile.
Civilization states are not interested in taking over the world. They're interested in taking over a world. And what Francis Fukuyama, when he published his end of history thesis, basically arguing back in the early 90s that liberal globalism had won. Liberal globalism was going to take over the world. He was countered by Sam Huntington's The Clash of Civilization thesis, who argued actually the world is breaking up. It's breaking away from liberal globalism, and it's going to recalibrate around civilizations. Specifically referred to core states that would have inordinate power and would basically function like a sun around which smaller nations, micronations, would revolve, and they would be united in accordance with a common culture. So this is why civilization states aren't about taking over the world, but they are about taking over a world. And so with the collapse of globalism, inevitably, Huntington argued the world was going to recalibrate around civilizationalist structures as the old civilizations rise again, almost like in kaiju-like fashion from the depths of the earth, as it were. And clearly, Trump has no love for the liberal international order and globalism. In his first term, he did everything he could to dismantle the liberal international order. He supported Brexit. He wanted to see the European Union dismantled. He called NATO obsolete. He had nothing to do with World Trade Organization, IMF, multilateral trade agreements, sort of one-size-fits-all trade agreements. He wanted much more bilateral trade agreements that were specific with countries. He chose confrontation with China, which was number one no-no for the liberal international order. They wanted to try to coax China into the liberal international order by appeasing it as opposed to confronting it. Of course, he gutted NAFTA and replaced it with the, USMCA. He imposed a number of tariffs on aluminum and steel, even with the EU. He withdrew from the Paris Accords. So he is obviously very intent on dismantling liberal globalism. And in its place, as globalist structures wane, in its place, we're seeing the world recalibrate around civilizationalist norms. And it appears in this rhetoric about Panama and Greenland that Trump is absolutely intent on making sure that the United States has a dominant role in a rising civilizationalist world. And so, and civilizationalism more or less is sort of ironically, the archaeo-modern term for empire. So our civilization needs to be growing, or the United States as a core state needs to be reasserting its dominance like a sun, S-U-N, around which these other microstates revolve, or we are going to recede and other civilizations like China and Russia are going to continue to grow. So that's what I think is behind Trump's quest of being able to take on Panama or take back Panama and Denmark's Greenland. Sorry, I have a Cujo, I think, over here ready to attack me. So that's what I think was going on. Very telling, very interesting in terms of the kind of world we are finding ourselves in. A civilizationless world really is rising, and it looks like the MAGA movement is about to make its own contribution to that rising civilizationalist world. We'll see how it works out, but there's no doubt that Trump is thinking, it seems to me, in very civilizationalist terms. God bless and enjoy the rest of your Christmas time. I'll see you guys.